My parents got divorced because of a secret I kept. My story animated style. First-person drama plot twist moral open ending. When people ask me why my parents got divorced, I usually smile and say, they just fell out of love. That's the easy version. The truth? They got divorced because of me. Or at least, that's what I believed for years. Chapter 1. The secret that started everything. My name is Emma, and until I was 14, I thought my family was perfect. Dad was the funny one. Mom was the organized one. Every Friday, we'd eat pizza, watch movies, and laugh until midnight. I honestly believed nothing could ever break us apart. Then one afternoon, everything changed. I came home early from school because my teacher had canceled our last class. As I walked into the house, I heard voices upstairs. Mom sounded angry. Dad sounded scared. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. I just froze. Then I heard Mom say something that made my heart stop. "I can't believe you've been hiding this from me." Dad replied quietly. "I wanted to tell you. I just needed more time." I panicked. Because I knew exactly what they were talking about. Or at least I thought I did. Chapter 2. My biggest mistake. 2 weeks earlier, I'd done something terrible. I had accidentally broken an expensive antique necklace that belonged to my grandmother. It was a family heirloom. Mom treasured it more than anything. I was terrified she'd hate me. Dad found me crying in my room. When I confessed what had happened, he hugged me. "I'll fix this," he promised. "Don't tell your mom yet." He secretly took the necklace to a jeweler. He even spent money he'd been saving for months. I begged him not to tell Mom. "It'll only make her disappointed in me." Dad sighed. "Okay, but only until it's repaired." So when I overheard them arguing, I thought Mom had finally discovered our secret. I believed Dad was lying to protect me. And I believed I had destroyed our family. Chapter 3. Living with the guilt. After that day, everything became worse. Mom stopped talking to Dad during dinner. Dad slept in the guest room. Sometimes I heard crying late at night. Every argument felt like another knife in my chest. I wanted to confess. So many times. But every time I tried, they were already yelling. Then one evening, Mom packed a suitcase. Dad didn't stop her. She simply looked at him and whispered, "I don't even know who you are anymore." The front door closed. And so did my childhood. Chapter 4. The divorce. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. Dad moved into a tiny apartment. Mom pretended she was okay. Neither of them smiled anymore. Every birthday felt awkward. Every holiday became a schedule. Christmas Eve with Mom. Christmas Day with Dad. I blamed myself every single day. If I had just told the truth, maybe none of this would have happened. The guilt became so heavy that I couldn't sleep. I started getting bad grades. I stopped hanging out with friends. I felt like I didn't deserve to be happy. Chapter 5. My confession. When I turned 16, I couldn't keep the secret any longer. I invited both of them to my birthday. After dinner, I burst into tears. "I'm sorry." They both looked confused. "I broke Grandma's necklace. Dad lied to protect me." "I know that's why you got divorced." Silence. Complete silence. Mom stared at Dad. Dad stared at me. Then, they both started crying. But not for the reason I expected. Chapter 6. The twist. Dad slowly shook his head. "Emma, it was never about the necklace." I blinked. "What?" Mom took my hand. "You really thought that?" I nodded. Dad closed his eyes. "The truth is, the necklace was repaired before your mom ever noticed." I couldn't understand. "Then, why were you fighting?" Mom took a deep breath. "There was another secret." Dad finally spoke. "I found out something about our marriage." I felt my stomach twist. "What?" He looked directly at me. "You are my daughter. But I am not your biological father." The room spun. "What?" Dad continued. "When your mother and I first met, she told me everything. She was pregnant. Your biological father disappeared before you were born. I chose to become your dad." I couldn't breathe. I always knew. Dad smiled through tears. Every single day. I turned to Mom. You never told me. She nodded. I was waiting until you were older. So, why the divorce? Mom looked away. Because someone from the past came back. Chapter 7. The Real Secret. My biological father had suddenly appeared after 16 years. He wanted to meet me. He wanted parental rights. Dad refused. Mom didn't know what was best. Weeks of arguments turned into months. Not because they didn't love me, but because they loved me differently. Dad believed protecting me meant keeping my biological father away. Mom believed I deserved the choice. Neither of them could convince the other. Their marriage slowly collapsed. Not because of hate, because of impossible decisions. Chapter 8. What happened next? A month later, I met my biological father. He apologized. He cried. He said he'd been young and afraid. Maybe that was true. Maybe it wasn't. But the man who taught me to ride a bike, who stayed awake when I had a fever, who cheered louder than anyone at every school play, was Dad. Biology suddenly felt much smaller than love. I still see both of my parents every week. Sometimes we even eat pizza together. It's awkward. It's messy. But it's real. What I learned. For years, I carried guilt that didn't belong to me. I thought silence protected people. Instead, silence built walls. Secrets don't always destroy families. Sometimes it's the fear of telling the truth that does. And I learned something I'll never forget. Being a parent isn't about sharing DNA. It's about choosing someone. Every single day. Ending, open ending. Last week, my biological father asked if we could start over. Dad told me, no matter what you decide, I'll always be your dad. Now I'm standing between two men. One gave me life. The other gave me a childhood. I still don't know which path I'll choose. But maybe this story isn't really about choosing between two fathers. Maybe it's about discovering who I want to become next.